Have you ever wondered why Downton Abbey captured the hearts of millions around the world? Why a single story set inside an English country estate could create such unforgettable drama, laughter, and heartbreak? Today, we are taking a journey through every season of Downton Abbey, a journey filled with love, betrayal, loss, and second chances. Stay with me, because the twists are astonishing, and every character's fate will keep you guessing. The story begins in 1912, the day after the Titanic sinks. A single disaster across the ocean sets off a chain of events that will change the Crawley family forever. Robert Crawley, the Earl of Grantham, and his wife Cora receive devastating news. The man their eldest daughter Mary was supposed to marry has drowned. That marriage was not only about love. It was a carefully planned union that would have kept the estate secure. But with his death, everything is thrown into doubt, because the rules of inheritance are cruel. Downton Abbey must pass to a male heir, and Robert has only daughters. From this moment forward, the Crawleys are standing at the edge of change. Lady Mary, sharp and elegant, suddenly finds herself at the center of whispers and expectations. Suitors arrive, each one sensing opportunity, but Mary's choices are never simple. When a charming visitor named Kamal Pamuk enters her life, their late-night encounter ends in tragedy. He dies in her bed, leaving Mary and her family scrambling to hide the scandal. The secret is covered up, but it lingers like a shadow that never fades. Will this mistake ruin her chances of securing her future? Or will she find someone strong enough to look past it? Enter Matthew Crawley, a distant cousin, a lawyer, and a man who has lived a far less privileged life. He is the new heir, and his arrival shakes the very foundation of Downton. The family resists at first. Mary is dismissive. The old ways clash with the new, yet from the very beginning there is tension, both in conflict and in attraction. Their journey is not smooth. The Great War erupts, promises to other people intervene. For years they circle each other, separated by pride, timing, and heartbreak. But when Matthew finally proposes, under the snowfall in one of the most romantic scenes of the series, Mary says yes. Hope returns to Downton, but hope never stays long here. Hours after Mary gives birth to their first child, Matthew is killed in a sudden car crash. Joy and sorrow collide so closely they almost become one. The future of Downton, once secure, is now uncertain again. Mary is left widowed, her heart shattered, and her child fatherless. And the audience is left asking, how much tragedy can one family bear? Downstairs, life is just as turbulent. The house is a world of its own, with strict rules and sharp divisions. Mr. Carson, the butler, is a man of tradition, determined to keep every footman and valet in line. Beside him, Mrs. Hughes, the housekeeper, holds equal authority over the maids. She is wise, firm, and quietly compassionate. Their partnership is the backbone of Downton's order, though even they cannot control every storm. In the kitchen, Mrs. Patmore reigns with fiery energy, scolding poor Daisy at every turn. Daisy, the young kitchen maid, longs for more than her station, and her innocence clashes constantly with Patmore's sharp tongue. Yet in time, Daisy's courage grows. She dares to learn, to question, and to dream of a life beyond the walls of the servants' quarters. And then there is Mosley. At first bumbling, often overlooked, but never without heart. He represents something deeper, the inevitability of change. As the modern world begins to chip away at the old system, Mosley takes a bold step. He leaves behind service and becomes a school teacher. His journey shows us that the grandeur of Downton is not eternal. The world outside is moving forward, and even the strongest traditions cannot stop it. Yet no story downstairs is more painful, more haunting than that of Anna and Mr. Bates. From the moment they meet, their bond is undeniable. But at Downton, love never comes without cost. Bates is haunted by the shadows of his past. He is accused of murdering his first wife, sentenced to death, and saved only at the last moment. Just when he and Anna seem free to build a life, another tragedy strikes. Anna is assaulted by a visiting valet, Mr. Green. The event shatters her, leaving scars no one can see. When Mr. Green later dies under mysterious circumstances, suspicion falls on Anna. She is arrested, her future threatened once again. But love fights its way through. Against all odds, Anna and Bates endure, their love tested more than any couple should bear. And eventually their perseverance is rewarded. They find peace, and even bring new life into the world with the birth of their child. All of this and we are still only at the beginning. If the Crawleys' lives upstairs were filled with triumphs and tragedies, then Violet Crawley, the Dowager Countess, ensured that every moment came with sharp wit. She is the matriarch of the family, a woman who can turn any conversation into a battlefield and always deliver the final blow. Her lines are legendary. When asked how she handles being wrong, she replies without hesitation, "I wouldn't know. I'm not familiar with the sensation." That is Violet, unyielding, sharp, and endlessly entertaining. Her greatest sparring partner is Matthew's mother, Sybil Crawley. A former nurse with a modern mind and middle-class roots, she challenges Violet at every turn. Their debates give Downton Abbey its clever humor. They argue about health, about social change, about tradition versus progress. Yet beneath their constant battles lies respect. And when Sybil faces heartbreak, losing her chance at marriage to Lord Merton because of his cruel children, it is Violet who steps in. With her biting words and sharp wisdom, she turns the tide and secures happiness for her rival. It is moments like these that remind us, behind Violet's barbed remarks beats a fiercely loyal heart. But while Violet and Sybil duel with words, the younger Crawleys face battles of life and death. Lady Sybil, the youngest and most spirited daughter, follows her heart into dangerous territory. She falls for Tom Branson, the family chauffeur. Their love is bold, their ideals rebellious. They leave for Ireland, determined to fight for their causes and live on their own terms. When they return to Downton, Sybil is pregnant, and for a brief moment, it seems her story will be one of happiness. But Downton never allows joy without pain. After giving birth to a healthy daughter, Sybil collapses from eclampsia and dies in one of the most heartbreaking moments of the series. The room falls silent, the family devastated, and the audience stunned. Tom is left a widower, forced to raise his daughter alone, surrounded by a family that once barely tolerated him. Yet Tom's strength shines through. He fights for his place, slowly earning the respect of Robert and Mary. In time, even the coldest hearts in the family warm to him. He becomes not only Sybil's widower, but also a trusted guardian of Downton's future. His story proves that courage and loyalty can overcome even the most rigid barriers of class. And then we come to Thomas Barrow. His story is one of the most complicated in the entire saga. At first, he is the villain, scheming, manipulative, and willing to betray anyone. Alongside the cruel lady's maid O'Brien, he weaves plots that hurt both staff and family. But beneath his lies and cruelty lies a deeper struggle. Thomas is a gay man living in a society where his identity is forbidden, criminalized, and hidden in shadows. His secrecy hardens him, twisting his heart into bitterness. In desperation, he even seeks out dangerous treatments, injections, and pills, hoping to change himself into something society will accept. It is painful, it is raw, and it makes his character one of the most tragic. Yet over the seasons, something remarkable happens. Thomas changes. He is given chances, he takes them, and step by step, he reveals the humanity beneath his sharp edges. When Mr. Carson is forced to retire from his duties as butler, Thomas takes on the role. For a man once despised by so many, this is redemption. It is proof that even the darkest characters can grow, adapt, and find a place of honor. But will his past betrayals return to haunt him? That question lingers. And speaking of Mr. Carson and Mrs. Hughes, their story is one of slow, gentle love. For years, they work side by side, pillars of discipline and order. Their respect for one another is clear, but their affection is hidden. Then slowly the truth surfaces. They care deeply, more than colleagues, more than friends. Their union, sealed by marriage, becomes a quiet victory. Proof that even in the midst of duty, love can flourish. Their scenes together are tender reminders that romance does not only belong to the young, but no character embodies perseverance more than Lady Edith. Forever caught in her sister Mary's shadow, Edith struggles for love and for recognition. When she believes she has found happiness with Sir Anthony Strallan, her dreams collapse at the altar when he abandons her. Humiliated and heartbroken, she spirals into despair. But Edith is stronger than anyone realizes. She rises again, finding purpose in writing for a newspaper, discovering her own voice in a world that constantly tries to silence her. Her life, however, takes another tragic turn. She falls in love with her editor, Michael Gregson, only to learn he is trapped in a loveless marriage with a woman declared mentally unfit, a situation impossible to escape under English law. He travels to Germany, desperate to secure a future for them, but he never returns. Killed by stormtroopers, his death leaves Edith shattered. Yet even in grief, fate intervenes. She discovers she is carrying his child. The scandal threatens to destroy her reputation. She hides the pregnancy, gives birth in secret, and places her daughter Marigold with a local family. But her love for her child cannot be buried. Edith finds ways to visit, and eventually the truth emerges. What could have ended her life in disgrace instead becomes the turning point of her story. Her family, after much struggle, accepts Marigold. Edith inherits wealth, reclaims her daughter, and finds happiness at last with Bertie Pelham, a man whose love is steady and true. For the first time, Edith is no longer the forgotten middle child. She is a woman who has fought through humiliation and heartbreak to stand tall in her own right. Upstairs and downstairs, joy and sorrow continue to weave together like threads in an endless tapestry. And as the story of Downton Abbey moves forward, the fates of its beloved characters remain tightly bound to the changing world around them. Just when it seems the Crawleys have endured every possible twist, Lady Mary steps back into the spotlight. Mary has always been the most complex of the sisters, proud, intelligent, and often cold on the surface, yet deeply vulnerable underneath. Her love story with Matthew defined the early years of Downton, and his death left a hole no one could fill. But Mary is not someone who surrenders to grief forever. She rebuilds herself piece by piece, and eventually she finds new love in Henry Talbot, a dashing man whose world is cars, racing, and speed. At first, Mary resists. Henry is charming, but cars remind her too painfully of Matthew's death. To accept Henry would mean confronting her deepest fears. Their courtship is rocky, filled with hesitation and doubt. But Mary's heart cannot remain closed forever. With Henry, she discovers that love after loss is possible, even if the scars never fade. Their union brings her happiness once more, though not without tension. Henry's racing is dangerous, and Mary must decide whether she can live with that risk. The push and pull between them mirrors Mary's eternal struggle: duty versus passion, tradition versus change. Meanwhile, Robert Crawley, the Earl of Grantham, faces his own reckoning. For years, he has clung to the traditions of the estate, resisting every sign of the modern world. But his health falters, and during a near-fatal medical crisis, the family realizes that the future cannot wait for him to let go. Change is coming whether he welcomes it or not. Slowly, painfully, Robert accepts that his daughters, especially Mary, must take control of Downton's future. By the end, the estate rests not in his hands, but in Mary's, shared with Tom Branson. The two, once worlds apart, now stand side by side, guardians of Downton's legacy. Cora, too, steps into a new role. Once content to support her husband quietly, she rises with unexpected strength. When she becomes president of the local hospital, Robert bristles. His old-fashioned views clash with her ambition, but there is no denying her skill. She proves herself a capable leader, and eventually Robert understands what the audience already knows. The women of Downton are unstoppable. They are no longer defined by their husbands' decisions. They are leaders in their own right. Downstairs, the lives of the servants continue to reflect the shifting tides of history. The younger generation sees a world of opportunity beyond the estate. Daisy, once timid, grows bold in her opinions, demanding education and independence. She questions the future of service itself, recognizing that the world outside offers choices her predecessors never had. Her story mirrors the decline of the great houses and the rise of the working class. Downton is not only about love and loss, it is about change, and Daisy embodies that spirit of transformation. Even among the staff, romance finds its way. Some pairings flourish quietly, others collapse in heartbreak. Yet the theme remains constant. Downton Abbey is not just a house. It is a living organism where every life, whether in the gilded drawing rooms or the servants' hall, is bound together. A single decision upstairs ripples downstairs, and every tragedy or triumph in the servants' hall echoes upward to the family. Through all of this, Violet, the Dowager Countess, continues to reign with unmatched presence. Her wit slices through tension like a blade, but beneath her sharp words lies wisdom. She represents the old world, graceful, sharp, unbending, yet even she cannot stop the march of time. Watching her exchange words with Isabel reminds us that Downton is not only about love and scandal. It is about ideas, about generations fighting over the shape of the future. Who will bend and who will stand firm? That question haunts every conversation, every glance, every decision. By this point in the saga, the audience is left breathless. Deaths, scandals, love stories, betrayals. Downton Abbey has given us all of them, but there is still more to come. Because even as wars end, as babies are born, and as scandals are covered, the great house itself endures. Its walls have witnessed unspeakable grief and unforgettable joy. And with every passing season, the question grows louder. Can Downton Abbey survive the modern age? Or will it, like so many other estates, crumble under the weight of progress? As Downton Abbey moves into its final chapters, the theme of survival becomes impossible to ignore. The world outside is changing faster than the family or the staff can fully grasp. Wars reshape nations. Technology transforms daily life. The social hierarchy that once held firm begins to crack. And yet, within the walls of this grand house, stories of resilience and renewal continue to unfold. Lady Edith, once dismissed as unlucky and overlooked, now thrives. With Bertie Pelham at her side, she becomes mistress of her own estate. Her journey from heartbreak to triumph is perhaps the most inspiring of all. She proves that the shadows of the past do not have to define the future. Her happiness feels hard-earned, and her victories symbolize the rise of women who will no longer settle for being silent or second best. Mary, though always proud and often unyielding, learns to balance her sense of duty with the needs of her heart. With Henry Talbot, she steps into a new life while also protecting the estate alongside Tom Branson. What began as an unlikely alliance, an aristocratic daughter and a widowed chauffeur, becomes the backbone of Downton's survival. Together, they carry the Crawley name into a world where the old rules no longer hold absolute power. Cora, once overshadowed by tradition, claims her space as a leader in her community. Robert, humbled by his own fragility, finally learns the lesson that change cannot be stopped. Even Violet, the Dowager Countess, the eternal defender of tradition, reveals moments of vulnerability that remind us her time will not last forever. Her wit may never fade, but the future will belong to the next generation. Downstairs, the threads of countless lives weave into a tapestry of resilience. Thomas Barrow, once the villain, stands tall as the new butler, proof that redemption is possible even for the most complicated soul. Carson, now retired, finds peace in the love he shares with Mrs. Hughes, their story a quiet echo of stability amid storms. Anna and Bates, after years of unrelenting trials, finally hold their child in their arms, a symbol of hope that even the darkest nights end in light. Daisy continues to grow, her voice stronger, her future brighter. And Mosley, once uncertain and often ridiculed, discovers his true calling as a teacher, stepping fully into the modern world. Every story, whether upstairs or downstairs, reminds us that change is both painful and inevitable. Love can be lost in an instant. Scandal can destroy reputations overnight, but courage, loyalty, and second chances can rebuild what was broken. And so we arrive at the great question that lingers long after the final scenes. Can Downton Abbey survive in a world racing toward modernity? The estate has faced wars, pandemics, deaths, betrayals, and near financial ruin, and yet it still stands. Its walls echo with laughter and sorrow, with whispered secrets and grand celebrations. Every character has left a mark on its history, every choice shaping its destiny. Perhaps that is the secret of Downton Abbey's power. It is not just a house of stone and tradition. It is a living symbol of resilience. As generations pass, as staff come and go, as the Crawleys grow, marry, and endure, the house itself remains. A constant reminder that even as the world transforms, some legacies endure through love, sacrifice, and memory. The story of Downton Abbey is more than the story of a family. It is the story of a world on the edge of change, of people who cling to the past while daring to step into the future. And though the future is uncertain, one truth remains. Through tragedy and triumph, through laughter and tears, Downton Abbey still stands tall. And its story, like the echoes of its grand halls, will never truly end.